We had met Jesse through friends of mine at work, and when I was talking to people about the possibility of buying a house, and were referred to Jesse. After a brief meeting, we met him and essentially started the house hunting process, which on our end became a very long process. On his end, it might have felt like a lot longer, but ultimately we're in our house. So
yeah, I had this lovely Excel spreadsheet, Jesse will remember, that I color-coded what houses we had looked at, why we didn't like it, was it the area, was it the house, and Jesse jumped right in and bought into my lovely spreadsheet idea, as anal retentive as I am. And, you know, he was very accommodating and very open to our ideas and listened. He didn't push houses on us. He knew what we wanted because he had listened.
After our initial meet with Jesse, the biggest thing, I guess, for us and I guess for most homeowners is making that list of things that you want and need in a house. And we had moved from one area of town, and we were planning on looking in a new area of town, or an area that we were not familiar with. And Jesse's expertise in the local market was kind of what we drew upon and sought out as far as his advice. The initial, you make a list. Everybody does when they're buying a house. Garage, swimming pool, kitchen, master bath, things like that. Our first list had 2 or 3 items on it. After the first month, it grew to about 6 or 7 things. Towards the end, the list was pretty long. And throughout the whole process, Jesse was very patient with us and used his expertise in the real estate market to tell us what were viable options and what were not viable options. I think that when you're narrowing down your focus on what's important to you, having somebody there to bounce ideas off and give you that realistic sense of what you need to be looking for and not what you want to be looking for was one of the big things that Jesse provided for us.
Yeah, he didn't waste a lot of our time going to look at houses he knew we weren't going to enjoy looking at. If he knew there was something in the backyard over the wall that wasn't going to be appealing to us, he had that research done before we went to look at it. So it did help in saving a lot of time. And poor Jesse was out there in all temperatures and always in a tie. As much as we would tell him, we're comfortable with you being comfortable, he never did, and he always had cold water for us.
Yeah, it was a professional, an all-out professional, and it was nice to deal with because we both worked and our schedules were all over the place. At a drop of a hat, he would be willing to meet us somewhere to go and do a walkthrough at a house. It was really good. So we were meeting Jesse. We'd come up with a list of homes that he had sent us. We reviewed it, and then we'd send it back to him. And Jesse would set up the appointments to go look at the houses. And with the busy schedule, it was kind of hard, so maybe 2 or 3 houses we were able to look at a time, max. So one of the days he vetted the list, which was one of the things that Jesse did for us, and it was a one-house trip. So we came out to look at the house and pulled up. Jesse gave us our paperwork, details of the house, the listing, some background information about the neighborhood, the whole packet. And walking up, looked nice, nicest house, 2-story. As soon as we opened the door, there was an overwhelming odor of curry. So the current inhabitants were an Indian family. They weren't there at the time. But we walked in, and the smell was the first thing that hit you. Then we looked around, and on all the walls in the house, from the ground up to about 2.5 feet, was marked with crayon. And we walked in, we took 2 steps into the foyer, kind of looked around a little bit, looked at Jesse, Jesse looked at us, And he said, okay, I think that concludes this visit. And we turned around and walked out, and the whole time we weren't sure if the odor came with the house because it wasn't on the listing guide, and we weren't sure if the crayon was part of the decorations of the house. It was a pretty funny house visit.
I would recommend Jesse to anyone, and actually do all the time, including just yesterday. We were dog sitting and mentioned to the girl that we're dog sitting for that they're in the house hunt, and brought up his name and mentioned his information and shot her an email. So hopefully, Jesse, you'll get a call.
Thanks, Jesse.
And thank you for our furniture on the patio. Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.
You're up.